My name is Trisha Sreen, and I'm here to talk to you about suicide in teens. The main reason I chose suicide in teens is because I want to reduce the suicide rate that happens in the young teens and adolescents. There are many reasons why teens commit suicide. Some reasons we don't know about, some reasons are left unsaid. There are tons of reasons such as peer pressure, environment, parents, family. The main questions I want to answer are: what processes can we use to reduce the suicide rate in teens? Are there any therapies that we can use for teens so that they don't commit suicide? The main reason is, why do they commit suicide? Is there one reason only? Are there any mental reasons why they would commit suicide? In other words, do most of the teens commit suicide have mental issues? There are a couple articles that I read on teens committing suicide. Some of them said that when they were prescribed antidepressants, they were more prone to committing suicide. They would swallow all the pills and or eat too many of them. Another reason for teens committing suicide was their sexual orientation. Some teens were bullied because they were gay or lesbian or something else, and some teens were just confused about their sexual orientation and felt that they were different from everyone else, and they didn't want that to happen. They wanted to be the same, and they thought their parents wouldn't accept them, environment wouldn't accept them, society, peers, and just basically nobody would accept them. There are many different reasons why teens commit suicide. It's important to be multicultural if you're becoming a psychologist. According to the APA handbook, that's one of the rules, saying that you need to be open to everyone's culture. Don't push your values on someone. Don't say, you have to be Catholic or you have to be Christian or something like that. Especially if a teen comes to you saying that they want to commit suicide, you are not supposed to say, that's horrible, why, what are you thinking, why in the world do you want to commit suicide? Are you an idiot? Do you have a mental issue? You wouldn't handle that. Instead, you would say, why do you want to commit suicide? What about the day of your birthday? What are you feeling that wants you to commit suicide? That can be prevented. Their thoughts may not be prevented, but you can prevent them from committing suicide. So their suicidal thoughts might be there, but you can definitely prevent them from thinking about or committing suicide. There are many factors that contribute to this. There's one important factor that I want to bring up relating back to sexuality. There's a book called Prayers for Bobby. Bobby was a child who was bullied because he was gay, and in the end he couldn't take it anymore and ended up killing himself. This is something that some teens can't deal with, being unaccepted by society and being unaccepted by their parents, peers. So Prayers for Bobby was one book that I found really speaks to teens who are confused about their sexuality. Some teens even commit suicide because they're afraid of what their parents would think, or they're afraid, or even aside from sexuality, they'll commit suicide because of their culture. Racist remarks, comments, issues arise, and it just hurts them inside. It can hurt them more than you think. And because of that, they find like there's only one way out. confidentiality is extremely important when being a psychologist. There is a rule in the APA handbook that says everything must be confidential. But there are times when, even though things are confidential, you have to make the right decision. If a teen comes to you and says all the bad things that are happening in his or her life, and then says, tonight I'm going to commit suicide, report it. After the session, report it. You should tell the teen that, if you tell the teen you're going to report it, they're obviously going to get upset. Even though it's confidential, you could be saving someone's life. If you didn't report it and they end up committing suicide, the psychologist, you as the psychologist, could feel guilty that I could have prevented this teen from committing suicide. Like I said, their suicidal thoughts might go away, might not go away, but you could prevent them from committing suicide that very day. And if you don't report it because you're afraid of what they'll think, you will feel guilty, and the victim's parents or anyone who loves the victims will feel guilty. One of the main things people could do to prevent teens from committing suicide is their parents. Parents should always be involved in their children's lives. Almost always. See what's going on with your child. Are they depressed? Are they anxious? Are they active? Are they lonely? Are they sad? If you start seeing signs that they're depressed, lonely, angry all the time, talk to them. If they're not going to talk to you, then it's best to get professional help. This can be a stepping stone for preventing them from committing suicide or taking drastic measures. According to statistics, between Japan and USA, 20% of teens in Japan committed suicide. 37.4% of teens in the USA, mostly girls, committed suicide. Each year this factor is increasing, or this percentage of statistics is increasing. We can definitely reduce this rate. Among the literature review, I reviewed a bunch of different topics, talking about interventions, antidepressants, teen sexuality, multi-systemic therapy. There are tons of them, and some of them were great articles. However, the one that I want to mention is interventions. In the intervention article I read, it said that interventions don't work. However, it didn't say why it didn't work. I can infer by the article maybe the person relapsed. In other words, a teen were to commit suicide. The interventionists tried to work them and took them away from committing suicide, but they came back maybe a week later, tried to commit suicide again. So there are many of these articles. The way that these articles can be improved for future research is to add more to the topics. Mainly why. Why did they commit suicide? Why did the interventions not work? Could it have been prevented? Completely? None of the articles mentioned that you could prevent suicide. To add more to my topic, I could actually change it. I could say, it is not possible to prevent suicide in teens. However, is it possible to reduce the suicide thoughts? Absolutely. the suicide rate in teens will decrease. If you know someone who is to commit suicide, call 1-800-273-TALK or go to suicideprevention.org. You can save a life, especially a teen's who has so much to live for. I hope by this message we can reduce the suicide rate in teens in California and further on across the nation, across the country, and across the whole entire world. Teens, if you think of committing suicide, talk to your parents. Talk to someone. Get help. You have so much to live for, and I really hope you reconsider when you have suicidal thoughts. Think about everything that's going on in your life. It will get better. If you can't handle it, talk to someone. Make a schedule. There are different therapies. Listen to music. Go out. Go for a walk. Everything can make you feel better. There are many different therapies you can try. Like I said, listen to music. Talk to someone. Do yoga. Do something. Don't commit suicide. It's not worth it. Again, go to suicideprevention.org. You can save a life.